Thank you, Shannon. Am I on? Can you hear me? If I'm not on, can you hear me anyway?
Yeah.
All right, good, good. Used to be the playground coach, you know. Yeah, I'm Pam Whitman, and I am so surprised how many people I know. Raise your hand if you know me. It's like, yes, I love that. Oh, I'm on now. Okay. There we go. I'm on. And I've got to tell you, I may be coughing a bit, and I just forgot my Kleenex down there. I'll run down if I need them. I got that flu. Anybody else caught it? How many of you had it for the second time? All right. How many had the stomach one with it? Okay, well, I've got the triumphant circles. I've got all three of them, and I'm building up my immune system the natural way. Right? So that's what we do, and that's what I've always done, I guess, except there are some things called antibiotics that do help with some bacteria, so I've got those as well. So I am just thinking positive. In coming to WOW, Leslie said, you know what? This is part of life. And do you all agree with that? Yeah. Being sick is not fun necessarily, but how do we keep thinking positive about it? And I use movement because movement is one of the basic things that will keep our lymph system working well. Now, how many of you are aware that you got your whole lymph system all over your body, right? So tell me, where are some places we have lymph glands? Under the arms, in our neck, groin, yep. Where else? In our stomach area, you bet. Anywhere else? Where?
Behind our knees.
Behind our knees, yes, yes. Some more? Where was that? Yes, all around in this area. Somebody say teeth. Sometimes I feel like, oh, feet. Yes. Teeth could be. I don't know. We're working on that. That's a science fiction thing maybe. But anyway, so I need a little bit of that right now because I'm feeling a bit congested. So can you join me? Would you like to know some areas that are really great to massage so that you get your lymph gland system going? Now, lymph glands don't do anything other than they take in the toxins. But otherwise, they are just sitting there. And until somebody moves or they get massaged, the lymph glands can't do what they're programmed to do. And that's to release the toxins into the bloodstream, and then we can get rid of them through our kidneys and all that stuff. So one of the best ones, especially for like digestion sort of things, is on the outside of your legs. So let's just do that. Rub that upside and up, down vigorously, okay? Now, if you should be having, you know, maybe like diarrhea, then you go down. It's always down. And then if you're stopped up, you go up. So just remember that. If you're getting rid of it, you go down. And if you're stopped up, you go up. I know, isn't that interesting? I learned that a good friend from Australia was just here with me. And she's a kinesiologist. So what happens is, as this is working, doing its stuff here, it's affecting the whole body down here. So when we give this a massage, how many of you, this feels good, right? Now there is also a little spot, if your lymph glands here do need to have some release work done, there may be a tender spot on your leg, just kind of, it's usually kind of, you bend over a little bit and it's about where your hands reach. Okay, that is. Now there's another one on there's another one's on our arms. Go like this, yeah. And this is also part of our eye points. And if you go about right here, you usually will find, there I found my tender points. They can help relax your eyes. How many of you find you're working with a computer a lot? Yeah, nod your head because you're still holding this. This is good. And when we're working with the computer, we over-focus. And also we're looking at radiant light. Now, how many of you find yourself just staring at light bulbs? I hope not. That is a radiant light. Our eyes were not meant to look at radiant light. So our eyes want to find reflective light. Everything around here that you see today is reflective except for that camera with that light shining on me and looking up at fluorescent lights. So give yourself now this. This one is also good for sinus because it ties in with the visual area. Yeah, right here in this area. So now the rest of your whole body, y'all probably know this one. We've got a lot of lymph glands here, yes, the breast area, and then around the breast too, so you can do that. This is good. Now that's part of your monthly checkup, right? Checking for any lumps or anything too. But this is really, really good. And I must admit, if you can find somebody else to do it for you, it's really nice too. I was just in Hawaii and had a fabulous time, but I did get sick. But my boyfriend was there with me, and so I said, hey, I got something that really made me feel better. Would you be interested? And so, yes, I got some help with that. That was nice. The saying of, I want to keep the walker in the closet and my hands on the wheel. I'm going to turn 65 shortly, so I've been doing the Medicare thing and checking out the whole, insurance and all that kind of stuff and checking out Social Security. How many of you are there with me? You're either 65 or going to be close. Good, 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 good. Well, I have a little issue with remembering a lot of the facts I'm getting. Anybody else have that problem? Yeah, I know, it's kind of common. And some of you are a little younger than 65. I saw you raising your hands. Good, because we start losing our memory at 20. Who would have figured, especially if we go to college. Our brains get so full, and we can't put another hard drive in, or a bigger hard drive, right? So what do? Our memory situation is that a lot of things are there, but how do we remember, how do we bring it up? Now, how many of you think remembering names and phone numbers is probably a real priority? You agree? Well, it's sort of a priority. We're animals. We were not born with phone numbers and names. We were born with all of these sensory integration pieces for ourselves that will help us remember and help identify others. Our visual and our brain says, oh, look it. She's got this long hair, it's dark brown, and the color of her eyes, and the way she smiles. How many of you can remember faces pretty well? Good, because that's what your brain's set up to do. So it's working. It's working really well. Now we have to attach a code to it. That is going into a different part of our brain. And we're having to work with our frontal lobes. So I'm going to give you a really, really quick, easy movement, and it's not actually movement, it's more of an acupressure thing for helping remember. And all that is take both hands and put them use these 3 fingers, put them just above your eyes, you can kind of feel where the bulge is on your skull. Just put them right there for a little bit, close your eyes. Take a good breath in. Yeah, that's it. Now what you're doing is you're activating your executive functioning part of your brain, your frontal lobes. And this is where we would like to be most of the time. So if it still feels good, keep holding it, and if it feels you're okay with it, you can take your hands away. So this is also very good for headaches, for stress. Good, I see a lot of you like it a lot, huh? Okay. So there's a piece then with memory that we have to allow ourselves to remember. Now when I lose my keys or I put them in the wrong place, because habit is a nice thing to have, right? You got that peg, you either put them on or you put them in your purse, or you have your special place, right? Could be your pocket, and then if you switch coats, it's not the same pocket, but anyway, sometimes that happens. If we don't have the habit working for us, how can we easily either backtrack or think of a second plan? How many of you are ready to race out of the house? You're going to be late if you don't leave right now, but you can't find your keys. Ever happened? Okay, so how many of you tend to just keep speeding around and looking for the keys in the same place? You know they're not in the pocket, but you've got this habit. You keep looking for it, right? Just take a few moments and do this and take that breath. It's going to give you that time to just reset. Now there's another movement that will help, because if you're still stuck in survival, which is the hindbrain back here, yeah, we're still animals. How many of you heard it's the reptilian brain? Yeah, okay. Well, it kind of is. It will just say, dang, we don't know where they are, and we're not going to think about it. We just want to fight it. or run away or something like that, right? Or cry. You know, I'll do that. Yes, I'll go, oh, God, I gotta go. Now I have a spare set of keys, so now I start to realize I can use those. But if you don't, or if you have, there's this whole other memory about remembering dates or remembering names. Sometimes it just isn't going to come right away, and then it'll come an hour later, right? It's just the way our brain works. Now, one of the other things that we can do is having a lot of water. And how many of you are familiar with the blue zones? Yeah, there's like 7 of them now in the world. 5, they're 5, but I thought there were like 2 kind of on the cusp or whatever. That's why I say 7. Don't know anybody, okay. But one of them is down at Loma Linda, Southern California, and it's got the hospital, right? There's a lot of cancer treatment there. Well, they studied the people that live there, because it is a community, and it's also got a spiritual part to it as well. They found that they're mostly vegetarian, but the biggest thing they found was they're drinking 3 gallons of water a day. Can you imagine? I don't drink 3 gallons of water a day, but I know I probably drink over 1 gallon a day. And if we don't have that water in our system, none of our cells are going to be able to function as efficiently as they can be. And for our brain, the brain is mostly water, almost 90% water. So if we don't have the water up there on our brain, or in our brain, we're not going to function so well. We're not going to have good memory. So having better water, and if you can filter it, because the chlorine in our water does keep bugs out, but it also creates some other stuff in our water that isn't so good for us. How many of you filter your water? And then how many have some special water that they get? Good idea, good idea. It's nice to have our water system not have bacteria in it, but when we take it in. So the water, and you're taking small sips. Yeah, I like that. I'll have a little more. Nothing like good water. Now, do you know why water is, how it works as it goes through your mouth? You could, well, first let me tell you that the skin is, the biggest organism in our body, and it's very porous. So if you put your feet, this is a big, big tip, if you don't want to drink alcohol, just put your feet in some scotch, and within half an hour, you're going to feel good. But you haven't had to have, the whole stomach thing, the digestion part doesn't have to go. So we are very porous. The minute water goes over the soft palate, the brain knows it's water. Teas and sodas and coffee don't quite stimulate the same thing, and they can actually stimulate you to have digestion. So if I don't want that if I'm saying, no, I'm going to lose a little weight here and I'm going to stick to a good diet. I don't want something triggering me to want to eat, right? So water's going to be the best option for us there. And just continually throughout the day, drinking water. Now I know a lot of people when we get older, I do something called Brain Boosters for Boomers. And if you're interested, you can go online to brainboostersforboomers.com, and I have a free report, and then I give you all these fun little videos of what to do when you first get up in the morning. Because what I found is the biggest fear we have as we get older is the fear of falling. And I think it even happens, from maybe 40 up, and I'm working with people who have some injuries, and so the balance for them is not so good. Or there are people who have had trauma, head trauma. So the balance piece, the inner ear, which is where our balance comes from, is huge. So I am now thinking, now how did I get to this point? My cold is interfering a little bit with me thinking. But because water is so important to our sense of balance, and the inner ear, and the whole cells, then this water is going to be huge with anybody who's got injuries, brain injury or stroke. And we can bring your movement back. And movement needs to happen very quickly, actually, after some injuries. How many of you know someone who's had a hip replacement or a knee replacement? Wow, a lot of you. They get you up moving right away because we know that we have to keep that movement going. Well, okay. So I'm going to give you another movement. It's acupressure, but because what you're doing and how you're moving it's affecting the brain and it's actually turning the brain on. All movement turns the brain on. I don't care what you're doing. And it's a way to switch it on or get yourself back to an integrated state. So I just want you to take these two fingers, your index finger and your thumb, and I want you to put it right here on your chest, just below your collarbone. It's kind of an indentation before you get to the next rib. Now the other hand's going to be on your tummy. And this one helps our vision. It goes right up to the visual occiput and it helps relax the eyes. Do you feel any of that? It also helps relax the muscles around the neck. Now as we're working on the computer or as we get stressed, everything comes through the trigeminal nerve, which is on both sides of our head here, right close to the eyes. And our eyes can only do one thing, take in information. The brain then makes sense of it. But if they can't take that information in easily and be relaxed, then we have some strange things happening and we get more stressed. Now I'm going to have you switch hands. Do it with the other side. Good. Now if you're ever driving and you get bored or you get a little tired, do this for about a minute or two and it will perk you back up. You're also triggering the carotid artery, which is the blood vessel that takes blood up to your brain, and so it collects the oxygen from the lungs, and this will help you perk up. So there's another tip for you. So I'm running out of time. I'm down to 3 minutes. And so I want to bring us to a close here by saying we do have to keep moving. Moving is what keeps our brain active. It's also how our brain learns to think. As a baby, they can't read a book on how to stand, right, or how to think. All the movements you have as a baby teach your brain how to think and be in this world. All the work that you did to learn how to stand up and walk actually taught your brain how to create something and how to follow a pattern. And the brain loves patterns. So, yeah, this whole thing with little ones going like this, if you didn't do that, or you didn't move your feet, or you didn't fall down, learning through mistakes is huge for our brain. So I work with older people, and I'm doing this other piece called Speaking Fearlessly, and I use a lot of movement in it because if we're not comfortable up here or in front of anybody, we're not going to be able to think too easily. So I want to just hope you all have a great day. I'm glad you're here at WOW, and thank you, WOW, for inviting me and allowing me to be here. I really appreciate it. And